Okay, so this is quite messy. Don't do this in your mom's living room because she's gonna get really ticked off. Yeah, I'm gonna do something different today. I'm going to use a real rock to make a fake rock. Sounds ridiculous, but I'm quite sure this will work incredibly well. So we're gonna put a fabric over top of this. We're gonna pick the best side. This is gonna go on the bottom and this is gonna stand up. So it's gonna be very much like a pyramid. So we're going to do this. We have to move it into place so we can work on it. I'm going to lube this up with some dish soap. Then we're going to put it on here. I'm going to put one layer of protection. I'm going to put one fabric with no cement as the separator. So we'll have soap and a piece of fabric. And then we're going to put the cement soaked fabric on top of this and put it into place. O solo arriba, vamos a poner arriba. Vienes aquí. Ok. Pones piedras abajo. Vamos a el level. Otra. Cuidado con una más aquí. Okay. Se ve bien, eh? So having this a little bit wet and a little bit soaked up, what it does is the next piece of fabric that's going to encapsulate this is going to stick better. We're going to wet it down too, but we're not going to put cement in the fabric so that we can use that as our release agent, and that'll make it work a lot better. By soaping this up, we're guaranteeing that we can get this separated. If by any chance we can't get the fabric off, we're going to make a slit with a knife, and that'll allow us to open it up, and then we'll heal that cut with another piece of fabric. So I'm going to use this cloth as the separator. So all I do is, and I don't want to get too much what do you call it, soap on the fabric. So I'm touching here, and I'm going to touch this side, and I'm going to cut it. Okay, the next thing I do is I have it edge to edge. So I need to get this wet. I'm not going to rinse it out too much. I'm going to leave it quite wet. Make sure there's nothing in the way. Okay, as you can see, clearly it's short here. So I'm going to cut a fabric that goes this way, the opposite way. And that'll give me full coverage of the real rock. And this fabric is by Sika. Sika makes many, many different concrete fabrics. My suspicion is that this fabric has a little bit of a chemical to it that attracts cement. Probably has been saturated with something, because the cement sticks to this like crazy. Okay, so we're just going to deal with these folds, make them go away. Okay, we don't want this drying out, so we're going to mix the fabric right away. So what we're after is the actual shape of the rock. So the cement is heavy in the fabric. When you soak the fabric with cement, it's heavier. So it's going to push against the rock. So we'll get the shape of the rock a lot better with the weight of the cement in the fabric. Yeah, so we cut two pieces of fabric that are going to be soaked in the white cement. So they do the same thing again. They go from one end to the other, from one end to the other. So this will be the skeleton of the rock that we're going to make. So this basically is what people use cardboard for, use styrofoam, whatever they use to make these shapes. Instead, we're using a real rock. Now, people always ask me, can I just use an old towel or can I use some old rags from my shop to do the same thing? The answer is yes, but so this material was 50 meters times 120, I think it is. So, and it was $100. So what I'm getting at is it's probably worthwhile just getting the real thing, the real concrete fabric instead of, or using your old towels and old rags. This is definitely much stronger. Polypropylene, it's woven this way and that way, making it incredibly strong. And if you watch my other planter videos, these paper thin planters are incredibly strong when you do it this way. Okay, so let's get soaking. So this is straight cement. There's no sand in here. It's a bit too dry. We want it nice and wet so it goes into the fabric. There it is. So we've got the left and right going that way. So here's the wet fabric. So here we go. We're going to dip it. This material is very close to honey. That's the consistency. And this fabric has a really nice habit of showing you where the cement actually is in terms of sticking to the fabric. This is way more heavy than the just the fabric by itself. And as you can see, I can really push this into the shape of the rock. That's a bit long there. Let me go next one. Okay, we're going to do the next sheet in gray cement just so you can see the overlap. We're going to get these folds nice. So we want this quite damp. We're not going to get all the water out of it. We did this on purpose. We have gray cement now, which is a lot cheaper than the white. But it'll give you a good visual on how we have the different sides. And what's nice about this gray cement is it really shows up on this white fabric a lot better than the white. So for the base, you should probably just use gray. There's no difference. Probably the same strength. Okay, you open it up to see if there's any spots missing. Okay, look at that. I'm quite sure there's some type of a chemical in this fabric that grabs that cement. It sticks like crazy. Okay, I got to find the long side. There it is. I'm at the bottom. This goes around. Okay, so now we're going to push it into place so it hugs the rock. We don't want to create an undercut, so we're going to keep it floating down straight. I'm going to get rid of this. And this will go rock hard in one day. The fabric has most likely the ability to turn hard when it is in contact with cement. So it goes very hard. What I like to do is I like to use the leftovers and then just cover these seams a bit better. What happens is it makes it more believable if you can't see any of the seams. And they cover quite easily when you just put the cement on. Make sure the fabric is unfolded nicely or completely. So here, look, I've got this really tough seam there. I'm going to pull this up. And I'm actually going to make this go away. So I take my slurry. You see how that disappears completely, that seam? Actually, let it run in. You can actually lift it up if you need to. Here's another seam. Let's get rid of it. There we go. When you do that, it kind of almost looks like one piece. You have those seams completely gone. Okay, we're going to continue. We're going to get a little skim coat everywhere just so it's a bit thicker with the concrete. And then we're going to let it dry for tomorrow. And then we're going to demold it. And we might have to take a pair of scissors or something, an X-Acto knife, and cut a line so we can open it up and pull it off. And then we'll just heal it with another piece of cement cloth. Yeah, I'm hoping that this will be less than 40 pounds. What these are really good for is to hide meter boxes for your water, sprinkler boxes, anything that is a utility. You can basically put this over top and nobody knows that it's there, especially if the rock looks very believable. Then you can actually hide a lot of utilities that you don't want people to know that exist. I'm thinking I'm going to put some holes in this for our lizards to come inside. We have so many lizards on the property. That would be a great house for them to live inside. You could also put a camera inside this. There's so many options because of the fact that it's going to be hollow and super lightweight. Yeah, it's important to get a good skeleton on this. Yeah, we come back with these smaller rolls and we touch up any area that looks suspiciously weak or that there's not a lot of material there. We soak these strips as well, and we find areas that are questionable, like that area right there. Then it gets worked in. And you can see there's a little bit of looseness to the rock and the fabric, which is good because we have to get this thing out of there. And that's going to make it very feasible to get it actually out. Rodrigo's coming back here with a trowel and putting extra material on. So this is going to be incredibly strong, probably by tomorrow afternoon. and we'll demold it then. Yeah, we're going to try to free this rock. The idea is to cut the bottom edge all the way around. We've made a slit on this side already, so we can basically just open it up and get the rock out. And then I'm going to start to decorate it. So give us a couple minutes here. We're going to cut everything out and lift it off. We'll show you how we lift it off. And then we can start healing this seam here and put another piece of tape on the inside and outside. And we're going to start to decorate the rock. Okay, so we've cut all the edge around. We've cut a slit in the back. We might not have had to have done that, but we're going to do it because we want to show you how we fix that. So gonna see if this comes out. Okay, agarras un lado. Yeah. No haces plano abajo. Mueve. Yeah. This weighs about 15 pounds. That's awesome. Whoa. Okay, now we got to work inside to get the extra fabric out. Lento. Okay. Okay. This one I'm going to leave in because it actually did grab. So let's get the knife and cut that off for me. This is tight. Okay. Success. So the first thing I'm doing is getting this edge covered again. And then we're going to put a piece of fabric here. Yeah, we're making two bands, one for the inside, one for the outside to heal that cut. And by doing that, it's going to be super strong again. As you can see, this fabric really has this ability to absorb that cement. It's pretty incredible. Ahí la corta. When you make that cut to get it out of the real rock, it's very, very easy to heal, very easy to repair. I'm going to do 2 strips and let it sit for a little bit, and then we can stand the rock up. Yeah, the rock didn't get damaged at all. The soap is going to disappear with the sun. So that's a good thing with these rocks is you can use this as a mold over and over again, and you don't have to make a styrofoam or a cardboard armature. You can just use a rock over and over again, and you know how to get it out. So that's the nice thing about having similar rocks. Okay, we're going to do the seam on the outside. Here's the seam on the inside. This will never rip open again. Yeah. Nice and tight. Double it inside there. Nothing ever happened. This is back to new. Okay. Perfect. Gonna hide the seam up a little bit with a trowel. And then we're gonna coat this to decorate it so it looks super real and super cool. We like to fill in these little gaps when there's a little bit of an edge because it just makes the structure a lot stronger. If you wanted to, you could actually put a couple of wires in there, but it's completely not necessary. It's super strong. But getting this edge on the bottom a lot stronger is a good advantage, especially if you're going to bury it in the dirt. That's the other thing, is you don't really need to make this edge so beautiful, because we, for example, are going to bury this in the ground, and that makes it invisible to the eye. Yeah, we have a level line on the bottom because it's sitting on something, and we noticed that that's the weakest element of this rock. So we're going to put a ribbon around the bottom. That's going to make it super strong. So when you come to that phase, you might want to do that as well, because it just adds that extra strength if somebody kicks it with their boot or something. So this will make it super strong. And we're going to go all the way around, which also ties it together nicely. And we're cutting about 80-centimeter strips, which makes it quite easy to apply it, because it doesn't need to be folded at all. It just fits nice. And that will make the base a lot stronger. Yeah, one thing we always do is we try to stay with a consistent surface. What I mean by that is Laura's putting a skin everywhere. And what that does is it allows us to be able to apply a finish the next day. So this, just by putting a coat on today, gives us another day to decorate this if we want it. And it also makes it color uniform. So what I mean by that is the color is everywhere on the rock. You can use this to your advantage when you want to have different colors on your rock, but we're going to coat the entire rock with a coating of cement, and that'll make it all uniform for whenever we're going to finish this, which will be probably today. So it's a final skim coat everywhere, so everything's covered really nicely. So we've got the same base coat to start with when we go to decorate this. Very, very nice. Yeah, so the video is getting incredibly long, so I'm gonna make the finishing of this rock a separate video. So stay tuned. It's gonna be part 2 of the rock to fake rock video. So just stay tuned for that video when we decorate this.